Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be talking about a fight that I didn't think I was ever going to talk about. It may be one of the most pointless rematches in boxing history. I'm also going to tell you why this fight is going to end in disaster for Nate Diaz, and I think Jake Paul's going to knock him out. There's a few reasons why I think that. Before we get into that, why is this rematch even happening? Don't know if it's going to happen though, because I know Jake Paul's fight with Gervonta got cancelled on Netflix. I know Netflix, if they are going to do the event still, I don't know if they're going to do the event or not. Jake Paul did put a message out saying sorry to the undercard fighters, but we don't know for sure if the event's cancelled or not. I don't think yet. But I think Nate Diaz will take the fight on short notice because he wants a payday, and I think Netflix would allow it to be Nate Diaz just because of the size of his name. But I'm just saying that even if he does fight Jake Paul, this fight will be an absolute disaster, and it should just not go ahead. Because I like Nate, but if you look at this fight, look, he's showing all the clips where he's actually doing all right in this, where he says, "Oh, fight except look, someone said you're dead," but yeah, look. He's showing the point where he gets him a guillotine as well. I was watching this fight live and thought, what is he doing? But even here, look, you can see the size difference between them. Jake is a lot more bulkier, and he's a lot bigger than Nate. But one of the big reasons why I don't think this fight should go ahead is because if you look at the size of Nate there and the size of Jake here, Jake's gotten bigger since here. Like he doesn't he's 190 here. He's 190 here, but now he fights at 200. And I think he gets down to 200. So I think on fight day he's like 205, 210. Whereas Nate's like 140, 145, or 160. I don't know what one he is, but I know he's quite a lightweight. I know there's going to be like a 60-pound weight difference. He's going to have. Obviously, Nate's going to have to put on some weight to fight him, but I don't know how much weight you can put on that much days. But he ain't been fighting, so he might put on some timber, but I don't know. But the thing I don't get about Jake Paul is, yeah, all the names he's. Also, a lot of names have been getting thrown in there, like Ryan Garcia, Terence Crawford, Ngannou, Edgar Berlanga. They're all not his size. Like, Edgar Berlanga's probably the closest to his size, and Ngannou's too big, so I don't see him fighting Ngannou. But Terence Crawford, I think, is the only one that will actually give him a hard fight, because I think Jake Paul would probably knock out Ryan Garcia. I don't know if he'd knock out Ryan Garcia, but I think he could potentially beat him, just because Ryan Garcia's got a very questionable chin. Like, you saw him get knocked down by Tank and some random guy at the start of his career, and also he got knocked down by Rolly Romero's, which he's been knocked down by quite a few hooks, and Jake Paul loves throwing a good little hook. But that's not the fight we're talking about today. Today we're not talking about any of them fights. We're talking about Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, and I'm gonna explain to you why it's just not a good fight. Because even if you look at the first fight, he's an MMA fighter. He's not. Basically, MMA fighters, yeah. Wait, I was going to use a bad example, but now I'm use a better example. Basically, MMA fighters, yeah, they're accustomed to having a looser guard because they jump on their toes and they have a looser guard. Whereas in boxing, you can even see this in the fight that Jake Paul, like obviously this is his first fight with his new team and everything, but he was coming forward at Nate Diaz, and he was putting the pressure on him. But Nate Diaz had his hands down a lot of the time. Like, he kept dropping his hands, and like when he was throwing at Jake, he was leaving his hands down. But if he done that now, if Jake catches him with a sharp right hand, even you can see in the fifth round he knocks Nate Diaz down with a check hook. If Jake Paul lands that sharp right hand on Nate, obviously him being a lot bigger now as well, Nate's gonna feel it a lot more. And also, Jake Paul's a lot better now than he was then. This was like 2-3 years ago. Jake Paul's got a lot more stronger, a lot better. And I just think when he lands those shots on Nate, when he sees Nate's hurt, he's gonna go for the finish. You can even see he does hurt Nate a couple times in this fight, even at this level, because he wasn't even great. He was coming fresh off a Tommy Fury loss with a new team, so he was trying a new style out. But now, even in the Chavez fight, you can see the shots he's landed a lot more sharp. But obviously, Chavez is an actual boxer. Like, Chavez knows what he's. Obviously, Chavez ain't a great fight. Chavez Jr. is not an amazing fighter. He's a bit of a letdown compared to his dad. But you can see in that fight, that what was I going to say? You can see in that fight that Chavez is blocking a lot of Jake Paul's shots. That's why Jake Paul wasn't unleashing on him, because Jake Paul knew that if he started throwing all those shots, he wasn't going to knock Chavez out, because Chavez was going to have his gloves up and all the shots were going to land on the glove. He did land some good shots on Chavez, I'll give him that, but Chavez just played the whole thing defensively because he was just there for a payday, to be honest. But so was Nate, to be honest, with this fight. But if Nate sits there and tries to have his hands down with Jake Paul again, and Jake Paul throws the shots he was throwing against Chavez, he's going to put Nate in serious trouble. Nate is going to have his he's going to have to do Dylan Dennis style and have his hands up the whole time because Jake's going to end up knocking him out because he can't have his hands down the way he did in that last fight. Because I watched it, I was thinking Jake's going to knock him out after because the first round he unleashed a flurry and wobbled him. I thought, oh, Jake's going to knock him out now. But he lasted till the end, which I was very surprised about. But I just don't see him be able to do the same thing he did then now. Unless he can get into the later rounds, which he'll still lose, but it will only go all the way if he can get Jake past the 7th round, because that's when he starts to get tired. But I just don't see Nate be able to take these shots with his hands down as well, because Nate doesn't have his hands up, didn't have his hands up too much in the last fight. Like, he done alright in the first 30 seconds, but then he lost every round. So this fight doesn't even deserve a rematch. It was nowhere near. The fights that mainly deserve a rematch are fights that are actually close. This fight was nowhere near close, and they're still doing a rematch. Suppose Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury done a third fight, which was quite pointless. But to be fair, no, it wasn't really pointless because the first one was a draw, but it was a trilogy that no one really asked for. But it was still sick fights. But wish I watched them, to be honest. But what else was I going to say? There's quite a few rematches in boxing that are pointless, though, to be honest with you. But this one definitely takes the cake. And I just see the bell going. Jake Paul doing that same stance he done against Chavez. He's going to be flicking that jab out. He's going to be stabbing shots to the body, which he did do against Nate Diaz a little bit. His body shots have gone up since then as well. So he'll be landing more shots on Nate's body, which tires you out more. Even though Nate Diaz's cardio is insane, his cardio is going down, I think. And he's not fought for a while. So the last time he fought was against Jake Paul. So, he's not had a fight since then. So he's not fought for 2 years. It's just so much stuff's adding up to Jake Paul just absolutely clumping him this time around. But I think what Jake Paul wants to do is he wants to do what he done to Tyron Woodley, where he rematched him and then knocked him out in the rematch clean. But I don't know if he'll knock Nate Diaz out clean because he is an animal, though. He can take so much damage. But I just don't see it being a close fight at all. I can see Jake knocking him out about the 6th or 7th round. I don't think he'll knock him out within the first 2, but I think definitely the 5th or 6th round, Jake Paul will do enough to either get the ref to call it off or knock him out, because I don't know if he'll knock Nate Diaz out clean, but he's gonna have to either get the ref to call it off by hitting him in the corner the whole time, or he's got to just Jesus Christ, he's just got or he's got to land those or he's got to knock him down once and knock him down a few times and then deliver the final blows. But I just don't see this fight going very far because of the way Nate fights, because he's an MMA fighter. They don't fight with a particularly tight guard either. Like the defense in MMA is so much different to boxing, as you can grapple, you can kick, but in boxing you got to actually use your gloves to block it and roll. Like Nate don't do any of that, so he's gonna get clipped and I think he's just gonna get destroyed. It's a pointless rematch. But you let me know in the comments, and yeah, I really hope this fight doesn't go through. I'd rather see him fight either Terence Crawford, even though he's not his weight. Don't want him to fight Ryan Garcia because he'd probably beat Ryan Garcia because. But yeah, Ryan Garcia's got a very questionable chin, I think, at least. And I think the opponent Jake Paul should really be fighting next is... I'd love to see him fight Tommy Fury again. Because that's how even... Because he has gotten better, but we'll see if he's gotten better. If he can beat Tommy Fury, that means he's actually gotten better. Because Tommy Fury's the only person that's ever actually beat him. And it's the only real boxer he's actually faced apart from... I thought Anderson Silva was quite a good test, actually, for where he was in his career. But... right now, I think he needs that Tommy Fury rematch, because Tommy Fury's got quite big as well. But I can see him beating Tommy Fury. I can see him possibly stopping or winning on points against Tommy Fury, because I just think Tommy Fury's not really dedicated to boxing, and boxing's not his main. He's a part-time boxer. Boxing's not his main hobby. I think he wants to be a bodybuilder or something, because he loves lifting a good bit of weights, doesn't he? But yeah, I think that should be Jake's next fight. It's Tommy Fury. But if it is Nate, he's gonna get knocked clean. He's gonna get knocked clean out. It's not gonna be a close fight. It's not even a challenge. Like, this is the most pointless fight in his career. Like, he's getting nothing out of this fight. Like, there's no test or nothing. But you guys can let me know in the comments down below. I'm hoping it's Tommy Fury or even Edgar Berlanga. I wouldn't mind, because he's still a good boxer, which I can see Edgar not beating Jake Paul, to be honest. Like, just because I feel like he's the more sharp boxer, and even though he did fight Canelo and I think he's like 170, he's still an alright boxer. But I wouldn't want to see him fight anyone like Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia or anything. But yeah, hopefully this fight just doesn't go through. And you guys let me know in the comments down below what you think. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.